Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in, and we have a lot of crap to get to. We are on the eve of perhaps one of the biggest recruiting weekends of the year, with multiple 5-stars visiting different programs. Louisville having possibly their biggest recruiting weekend in the history of their school. Michigan hosting a bunch of guys. Alabama hosting some 5-stars. Ohio State hosting some top targets. And there's a situation going on right now with Ohio State's receivers for the class of 2023. There's a rumor that Carnell Tate, the superstar wide receiver who was down to Ohio State and Tennessee, there's a rumor that he's going to be announcing tonight. There was a tweet from someone that hinted at a 5-star player committing. I don't know if that is Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate tweeted out a screenshot of the commitment video he's already made, so he could, commit to a school at any point. And there is speculation that Carnell Tate right now is already on the campus of Ohio State, and we all expect him to commit to Ohio State. It's between Ohio State and Tennessee, and I've said for the past few days that, he's locked in at this point to Ohio State. It's just when, not if, at this point. So maybe it will be tonight. That's when he'll drop the video. Maybe he is visiting with his friend Brandon Anis, who was confirmed in Columbus yesterday. He's visiting for a long weekend visit, and he is also expected to commit to Ohio State. So he's a 5-star receiver. Carnell Tate is a 5-star receiver, both of the 2023 class. And then you have the situation with Noah Rogers, where this morning it looked like Noah Rogers was going to bail on his Ohio State official visit this weekend. There was speculation. Did he realize Carnell Tate and Anis were committing to Ohio State? He didn't want to be the number 3 receiver in the class, but apparently he is coming for his official visit. And right now, I think Ohio State is the clear favorite for him. I speculated during my last video that I think Noah Rogers is probably going to see, 2 5-star receivers, Brandon Anis and Carnell Tate, both commit and say, listen, I'm not going there. I mean, it's just tough to be the number 3 receiver in a class when you're such a highly ranked player yourself. Maybe because Hartline is such a good recruiter, he can get him, but I find it very hard to believe, although he is visiting now, because there was a rumor that he wasn't going to visit Ohio State earlier this morning. He was just going to go to NC State, but now apparently he found a flight and he is visiting. So really interesting when it comes to Ohio State's wide receiver room right now. The things I can guarantee you guys right now, by the end of the weekend, Brandon Anis will be committed to Ohio State. By the end of the weekend, Carnell Tate will be committed to Ohio State. Now, where does that leave Noah Rogers? I don't know. I don't know what Noah Rogers decides to do if 2 5-star receivers in his class both commit to the school he wants to go to. That's a decision. That's going to be a tough decision for him. But that's a major get for Ohio State, these 2 5-star receivers. And then you also have a guy like Kelvin Simpson-Hunt, who's an absolute beast, currently committed to Texas Tech, but his recruitment has taken off. He's a solid 4-star ranked inside the top 200, and I would expect him to decommit. Not saying he's going to flip to Ohio State. I don't know where he's going to go, but he's got a number of elite programs chasing him, so he will be visiting. Just some other guys. Jermaine Matthews is an interesting athlete, probably going to be a cornerback. His top 2 is Ohio State and Cincinnati. The question is, does Ohio State want to take him? Recent rumors say yes. Ohio State wants to take Jermaine Matthews. He recently got bumped up to a 4-star. He's been killing it at camps, they've been saying. So that's a good prospect you would love to get from the state of Ohio. Although it is Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati's right on the border with Kentucky. So that is a number of top targets for Ohio State. This safety is very likely going to Georgia. He already set his commitment date. And when you already set your commitment date, you have a pretty good idea where you're going to go. And Georgia has led for him from the beginning. He is an elite safety, and Ohio State, I'm sure, is going to try and wow him. But he's very likely going to Georgia. So Ohio State has some big guys on campus. Taking a look at Alabama and their current visits for this weekend, the 17th. We're going to go down and we're going to see this is the major visit for the University of Alabama. It's Caleb Downs, but it gets even better for Alabama. Apparently, the number 3 overall prospect, Cormali McClain, is in Tuscaloosa on an unofficial visit and then he's going to have his official visit in a few months to Alabama. So Alabama is making moves. I think they're third right now for Caleb Downs behind Ohio State and Georgia. Caleb Downs will be taking his official visit to Ohio State next week, but we'll see if Bama can make a move for Caleb Downs. And Cormali McClain, that's just an unbelievable development for the number 3 overall player. You get him in for an unofficial visit, and then in a few weeks or whenever, he'll be in for an official visit. Another 5-star offensive tackle visiting Alabama. I think they had 2 5-star offensive tackles visit last week. Samson Jr., the 5-star receiver from Louisiana. Baton Rouge. You would think he'd be going to LSU. Damon Wilson, he's got a top 2 of Ohio State and Alabama. Can Alabama pull ahead for him? Justice Haynes, I see him going to Georgia. I see Alabama landing Richard Young, who's a 5-star running back, not Haynes. Haynes is a beast, though. Haynes is really good. So Bama hosting a lot of elite players. Another program that's hosting a lot of players, Michigan. They're having themselves a nice little recruiting weekend. Actually, the 24th as well. 2 5-stars for them. But this week, it's going to be mainly focused on these 2 guys, especially Jason Moore. This offensive tackle is a heavy Notre Dame lean. It's going to be very tough to pry him from Notre Dame. But Jason Moore, they're really in it for him. I would say Notre Dame leads right now, but this visit could change things. And then Jason Moore has an official visit to Ohio State in a few weeks. Other guys, this Johnson kid from Oklahoma, I think he'll stay home and go to Oklahoma. I think that's where the crystal ball is for him. Yeah, 7 confidence. Jackson Howard, who kind of is a hybrid tight end pass rusher from Minneapolis. Maybe Michigan can make a move on him. Etta, the defensive lineman, is on commit watch for Michigan. They lead for him. They should get him, and that would be a great pickup for Jim Harbaugh, ranked 124th nationally. Herring, the offensive guard. If you're Michigan, you'd love to land him, the number 4 player in the state of Michigan. And then it looks like Evan Link, who is another offensive tackle, 290th, solid prospect in his own right. Looks like he might be pretty smart. I mean, he's got Stanford as a top team there, but there is who's visiting for Michigan. And then the other school I wanted to talk about was Louisville. Now, Louisville has really stepped up their game in terms of NIL, and they've got a crazy group of visitors. Reuben Owens, the current number 1 overall running back, kind of having a funny recruitment. Reuben Owens last week, or maybe a few weeks ago, visited TCU and came out and said they led for him. So he is a current leader of TCU now. I don't think he's going to TCU. I think he's trying to drive up the asking price for Texas A&M and Texas. To me, right now, Texas A&M leads for Reuben Owens with Texas in second place. Then, a battle between TCU and Louisville. But I'm sure Louisville will use some sort of NIL, deal to try and lure him. DeAndre Moore Jr., that's their big get so far for Louisville through the NIL. He's the number 58th overall player. Nathaniel Joseph, freshly off his Clemson decommitment. He is visiting Louisville. Most people expect Nathaniel Joseph to go to Miami. Looks like a decent offensive tackle. Wow, that's a good offensive guard, the 4th overall offensive guard. So yeah, you can see Aaron Williams already committed, 140th. Louisville has a good class, and they've got a good group of guys visiting. This is one of their, I don't think we've ever seen this group, a talented group like this, visit Louisville probably since recruiting rankings started. I mean, you're talking about a 5-star, you're talking about 5 or 6 players in the top 150 for Louisville. This is a great, great group, and we'll see what Louisville's able to do. But you could go to, let's take a look at Georgia and see who they've got visiting this weekend, see who they're trending for. So Georgia, the 17th, very interesting. James Smith, you would figure the defensive lineman, the 5-star from Montgomery, Alabama, would be going to either Alabama or Auburn. But right now his recruitment seems a little bit open. Maybe Georgia can wow him. They just had Trayvon Walker, the number 1 overall pick, a defensive lineman. Maybe they can use that. Richard Young is visiting. So that's kind of funny. Justice Haynes is visiting Bama while Richard Young is visiting Georgia. I expect Justice Haynes to commit to Georgia while Richard Young goes to Bama, but that's interesting. Wow, they've got a lot of good visitors. Hakeem Williams. Hakeem Williams is a major Texas A&M lean. It'll be interesting to see if Georgia can do anything. Daniel Harris is a kid that's ranked way too low. This is a top 75 overall prospect, and I think Georgia's probably at least tied for the lead with Ohio State, but after this visit, I would expect them to lead for him. So Georgia has a really nice group of guys coming on their campus. Let's take a look at Clemson. Clemson is really recruiting well this year. They're really trending up. Did they already have their major weekend? Wow. Yeah, so they must have already had their recruiting weekend. So I don't know if that's just not updated, or maybe they already had their big weekend. USC is another team you always got to look for when it comes to these visits. Malachi Nelson, the superstar number 2 overall prospect, will be in town. The number 1 overall offensive tackle, who was originally from the state of California, will be in town. The number 1 overall tight end from Arizona, who I would say USC leads for with Texas in second, is visiting. And then Mateo Uilangile, I am very confident USC is going to land him over Ohio State, although Oregon might have something to say about that. So those are some elite prospects that are visiting USC. But guys, I just wanted to give a quick rundown on what's happening this weekend. It's a huge weekend for college football that we're going to be following these developments. The number 1 development, does Carnell Tate commit tonight? Does he drop his commitment video? If he does, the expectation is it's going to be for Ohio State. And he might even be on campus for Ohio State right now. And then Brandon Inniss commits this weekend. We will see. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.